Hello everyone, we are going to talk about the chapters 11 through 15 quiz study guide. This study guide is worth up to 52 points of extra credit that will be applied towards your quiz. Before you get started though, please put both your name and your homeroom at the top on the lines that say name and homeroom. That way I can give you credit. Let's talk about the first section of questions. These first questions deal with vocabulary. It says, use each of the following vocabulary words in your own sentence. So these are all vocab words from your worksheets. The words that I've included here are poised, obstruction, admonition, hueless, mutilated, exempted, daub, assuage, placidly, contorted, immobilized, and imploring. So I have a couple of examples. The first example is, I know how to use the word poised in a sentence. This sentence is no good. The reason that sentence is no good is because it gives me no clues about the word's meaning, and it doesn't demonstrate to me that you actually know what the word poised means. Let's look at the next one. Extreme laziness can be an obstruction to learning. Bam! This one is awesome. Extreme laziness sometimes blocks learning, and I now know that you know that the word obstruction is a synonym for blocks, so you are good to go there. Please be sure to make sure that you come up with your own sentence for number 1 that isn't the one that I crossed out, and your own sentences for 3 through 12. Moving on to essay question preparation. So I'm asking you to just complete the outlines below each question. These are just rough outlines to help you so that if you decide to choose these essay questions, you already have a rough idea of what it is you want to write. The first question is, if you were the author of The Giver, how would you end the story? So if it were me, I would end the story by revealing the dystopia to the characters. So you don't have to choose that, it's just my idea. So in these three details, I'm actually going to explain the 3 events leading up to the resolution, and then for my concluding sentence, I'm going to explain why I would end the story that way. Second question. Why do you think that not talking about his training is the most frustrating of Jonas's rules? So your topic sentence is, I think not talking about his training is the most frustrating rule for Jonas because, and then you would have 3 details to support your topic sentence and a concluding sentence that says, in conclusion, not talking about his training is frustrating, and you would rephrase what you have in your topic sentence. You're going to do the same thing for question 3, which is, do you think Jonas would prefer our society to his community? Why or why not? So here you're choosing, would Jonas like our society or his community better, giving me 3 details and wrapping that up with a concluding sentence. 4. The giver defines his life as being the memories. He says that without them, his life is meaningless. How would you describe your own life, or define your own life, rather? So you're going to have a topic sentence explaining how you would define your life. Give me 3 details to support that, and a concluding sentence to wrap it up. 5. Do you think it is important for children to know about things like brutality to animals and war? Why or why not? Again, topic sentence, 3 details, concluding sentence, and you are on your way. Last thing I'm going to ask you to finish on this is another characterization continuum, and in this case, I'm giving you a graphic organizer. It says, character traits exist on a continuum or scale with opposite traits at the ends of the spectrum, with a wide range of possibilities in between. The giver is sometimes very strong and more than capable of taking on the burdens placed on him by his assignment in the community. At other times, he shows that he is vulnerable or able to be emotionally wounded by the weight of his responsibility. Give specific examples of how the giver's behavior and traits fall along this spectrum. So I've shown you the spectrum. So on the one end of the spectrum is strong, on the other end of the spectrum is vulnerable, and then we have things in the middle. So the topic I've given you is, the giver can be both strong and vulnerable. At times he is very strong. At other times he is able to carry out the duties of his job, but is obviously conflicted and worried about what he must do. At the extreme end of the spectrum, the giver can be vulnerable and overwhelmed. So to help you fill this out, I've asked you for specific examples. So first, I need an example of a time when the giver was very strong. Next, I need an example of a time when the giver is able to carry out the duties of his job, but is obviously conflicted and worried about what he must do. And lastly, I need you to give an example of a time when the giver was vulnerable and overwhelmed. If you complete all of these activities, you are well on your way to 52 points of extra credit.